The question is that the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Braddon.
Well, thank you, Deputy Speaker, and it is an absolute pleasure this afternoon to be able to speak about some of the great things, the positive things, the encouraging signs within the electorate of Braddon. And before I get onto that, I want to communicate to not only this chamber but to the people of Braddon the very good news of the last few days when the Brotherhood of St Lawrence, who've released their most recent report, and I've been tracking their reports now for some years, have announced that the northwest of Tasmania is no longer one of the hotspots in the country for youth unemployment. And in fact, youth unemployment in the northwest region, in the seat of Braddon, has fallen by 37%. It's fallen from 21% when we were elected as a government in September 2013 to just 13.2% over the last 2 and a bit years. Now, Deputy Speaker, this is great news. The challenge is not over. The work is still to be done, and there are still too many young people, and older people for that matter, unemployed in the northwest region. But it's a great trend. And I am astounded sometimes on social media when the trolls get working, how negative people can be. You know, rather than seeing this as good news, they always want to find a way to demean it. I'm sure it's our political opponents, but the reality is this measurement has been taken the same way as it's been taken for over a decade. There's nothing tricky about it. The reality is the figures speak for themselves. And I'd say to those people in Braddon that want to see the negative in everything, it's time to be positive about what's really going on in the beautiful part of the world called Braddon. And I want to refer particularly to the great work of small business in my electorate, the 8,000 small businesses that are doing everything they can. I want to talk about the farmers that are doing everything they can to build their businesses. I want to talk about the innovators in my electorate that are still wanting to see more and more start-ups and jobs in our electorate. And I want to talk about the leadership that is inspiring the electorate on a day-to-day basis. And I said this in my maiden speech, that innovators are still designing, you know, great people are still dreaming, farmers are still believing, and leaders are still inspiring. There are good news stories going on in the electorate of Braddon. Sadly, as people would know, we lost over 400 jobs with the closure of Caterpillar, which was announced 12 months ago and is pretty well in its final stages of closure, with the exception of the research and development. Now, that's a sad story, but the good news out of that is apparently about 60 to 70% of those that have been made redundant have found jobs. And where have they found them? They've found them in the agricultural sector, and they've found them in the small business sector. Thank God for small businesses in our economy. And then there's another significant part of that number that are aspiring to commence their own start-up business, or to in fact get into a small business of their own. They are believing in the future of our electorate. They want to stay in the electorate. They want to raise their family in the electorate. And I would say to the naysayers in the electorate, you know, get on board the positive stories that are going on in forestry. Forestry is back in business in Tasmania thanks to the leadership of the Will Hodgman government. Agriculture is just gaining momentum every day. And it's been gaining momentum for some years, but imagine what's going to happen when the turbocharge of the free trade agreements really do kick in. The China Free Trade Agreement, which was only finalised months ago, is really yet to kick in. Imagine the possibilities. Just imagine the opportunities that will be there for our farming community, our service community, our advanced manufacturing community. Jobs are happening in horticulture. People are investing tens of millions of dollars in the horticultural sector, and there are good jobs there. And Madam Deputy Speaker, it's a great news story. Aquaculture, as I say, we've got the biggest salmon jumping out of the water of anywhere in the world, and people are getting good paid jobs in the aquaculture sector. And this is not to mention the really tremendous positive story going on around tourism. I think we have the largest percentage growth of tourism anywhere in the country. The Chinese and the Southeast Asian market love visiting Tasmania. They love what we have to offer, the produce, the scenery, just the quietness and the contemplation that they can have outside of their busy cities in the much quieter part of the world called Tasmania. So it's an exciting story, Madam Deputy Speaker, but we do have challenges. We've got opportunities, but we've got challenges. We've got challenges in energy security, and I personally and my colleagues are working on some solutions around that, but that's an issue we have to deal with. We have the opportunity to be a part of a Land 400 defence bid, which will hopefully an announcement will be made on down selection over the next few weeks. As I said, the free trade agreements are offering many opportunities. I have a challenge with the NBN solution that's been proposed for the West Coast, and my commitment is to try and find a better solution for those people. But the story, Madam Deputy Speaker, out of Braddon is a positive story, and I